Cool. All right. Hi everybody, my name is MELANIE.Josephine and today I'm here with my friend Carter.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk about how travel changed our lives, actually more about how travel changed Carter's life. I don't really know that much about his story, so we're all going to find out, which is very, very interesting. So yes, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your journey.
Right, okay. Yeah, hi, I'm Carter, as you know. I am American, and I grew up in Chicago. And growing up in Chicago was great. It was a nice, very sound upbringing and so forth. But one of the things I was very fortunate is I had parents that they like to do things like go skiing on holiday, and they like to go up sailing up in Wisconsin. So it was never like we had one, big house. We stayed there all the time. We were always going off somewhere. We were always just sort of traveling here or there. Growing up, I never spent Christmas at home. Every Christmas I had was away skiing or at my grandparents who lived in the mountains in New Mexico. So we were always away at that time. So it was just sort of got me a bug that I was always moving around. And then when I was 9 years old, my parents, or my father, went sailing with someone one time and decided, I like that. And he bought a house on the lake, and we all grew up sailing boats, my brother and sister and I.
Oh, how fun.
We sailed all the time, so we would be going there every weekend. So I was always off on ski trips, and I was always sailing. I know for a lot of people, obviously I must come from money to be able to do those things. But that doesn't mean people can't travel. So
I completely agree.
I want to, emphasize that, I did have some advantages in life, but I'm thankful to my parents. Although sometimes I'm wondering they're passed on now, if they would be so happy about me getting out in the world, because my parents were very conservative, and by sending me and my brother and sister and I out in the world all the time, we saw a different light. We actually became a little less conservative because of it. Because, we weren't sitting around at home judging everything by what the media says and everything.
Yeah.
We would go out and see it. And
can I just say one thing? Because you were just talking about how you traveled as you grew up. Some people might think, oh, I never traveled when I grew up. I don't know if I can go out and travel on my own. So just wanted to say that in my case, it was actually the opposite. When I grew up, I never traveled. My dad didn't like traveling, and basically I never traveled until I went on my own as an au pair to America. So I just wanted to put it out there. You don't have to have this experience growing up if you want to go and travel. You can, at any time in your life, you can make the decision to go out there and explore the world.
Right. Yes, and it's both ways.
Yeah.
The fact is, we left home. I think I have a quote here. I'm big on quotes.
Yeah.
So I've got one. Let's see.
So what's the first quote?
Let's see the first quote here that I can pick out here. Let's see. The world is a book, and those who do not travel read only one page.
Yeah.
This is my favorite. The goal is to die with memories, not dreams.
Yeah. You know what?
You want to know that you did that. And as I go along, I'm going to tell you about some things that I can say, God, I did that.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody's done that, but I did that.
Yeah.
And that defines me.
Yeah.
A lot of people have careers, and they're very proud of their careers, and I'm very proud of them for having their careers and what they've done in business and whatever. But I never talk much about what I do for a living. I like to tell people, this is what I did. This is how I help people. This is where I went. I want people to know Carter was the guy that went sailing. Carter's the guy that went and climbed a mountain. Carter's the guy that did this. Not Carter made £1 million on the stock exchange. I want to.
You rather have experiences than a corporate career.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I had this conversation with my au pair family in America recently because I pretty much chose the same path. I mean, I'd still say I have a career because I'm writing books and I'm following the career path that I feel called to, but I have not chosen a corporate career. And I called her my American mom. She said, yeah, you chose experiences over a corporate career. I just wanted to add that the goal is to die with memories, not dreams. It's actually a bracelet that my American family gave to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Eventually, my mother used to love to travel. And she would take me to Europe. And we'd go around Europe and stuff when I was like, my late teens and stuff like that. So then I was able to venture a little farther. And it just, showed me, and I just thought, this is what I want to do. I want to kind of keep traveling. I ended up living in a ski resort for a long time because I like to ski and I was in the mountains. I like to go hiking and climbing in the mountains. I like to get out, all the time. I also got into kind of the 80s wave, and I was probably more known less for travel and more for partying.
Okay.
I did that for a long time, but I finally in 1986 I stopped doing a lot of things, and then I went to a travel school. So I wanted to become a travel agent. So I was a travel agent for a long time, and I sold student tickets to kids to move around the world. I ended up becoming an around the world expert. I could tell you what trains to take in Oman to get from here to there. And after about 5 years in the job, I got tired of sending people. And I said, I'm quitting. I'm going to go do that. And because I was good at what I was doing with the travel, they said, no, would you come back in 6 months? And I go, well, okay. He says, we think what you're doing, which is why I like this company. It was called Council Travel. It's no more. But their ethos was, yeah, let them go out and do it, get that experience so he can come back with more experience to help us. And they actually paid for some plane tickets. And they helped because I sold a lot of these trips, like you have these adventure holidays and so forth. I got a bunch of free ones along the way.
Oh, great.
I would just jump on the trucks and everything like that. So I traveled around the world in 1992. And
so
that was the making of me, right? That point, my life changed politically. I got to see the world. But then I went around the world, and that's when it started. That's when the real changes, because I did that as yes, I got to jump on. I just had to be at certain places at certain times. Some of the planes I had to buy, but I they paid for my trip from America to get to Indonesia. And then they paid for another plane from Europe back home. So basically, that's the way I traveled. When I went around the world, I am kind of a snob in the fact that when people tell me they traveled around the world and they've been to America, Australia, and Europe, that's not traveling around the world. That's traveling around Western civilization. So, traveling around the world is what I and I know this is very snobbish of me to say this way, but I went to Indonesia through Thailand. I went over into India. I went through Pakistan. At the time, I would like to have gone through Iran, but they wouldn't let me because I was an American and it wasn't allowed then. So then I flew over to Africa. I traveled through mostly Eastern Africa. I went up to Egypt, and then that was like 5 months later. And to be honest, when I got to Egypt, I felt like if I saw another temple, I was going to explode because I saw so much. I mean, it was a great experience, but, a nice little thing. But I saw, the people. I mean, and they were so nice. And that's the thing about when you're here, you get scared of people, or the media portrays them, or there's violence here, or there's violence there. When I was traveling, the people were the nicest in the world. All the Indonesians in both parts. I ended up going over to Sumatra for a while, and they were just lovely. And it was just. I ended up getting over to Borneo, but on the Malaysian part of Borneo, and I joined one of these trips. And that was fate, because I met Jane, my wife, my present wife. She was on a 2-week holiday to do this thing through Malaysia, and we just hit it off.
But was she from the US as well?
She's from Britain.
Oh, she's from Britain.
Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, why you see why I'm here.
Yes. Okay. Because we're in London.
Yeah, she's from Maidenhead.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we parted. And,
okay, so you parted
and
with you not knowing if this is going to go anywhere.
I wrote her letters.
Yeah. Okay.
All the time.
But you didn't know whether this would go anywhere.
No.
Okay.
No. And I remember we used to write, because we didn't, this is 1992, so there wasn't like the internet or emails or things like that going on. So I don't know if you remember, so there's that type of airmail paper. It's kind of bluish in color and it's very thin.
I don't know this.
Too young for that.
Okay.
I used to send these off from wherever I am, off to Jane. She has them all still. But after that, I went to China. I will tell you, I went through Pakistan. Had a lot of fun, got to shoot bazookas. I went to, down and saw all the things, Taj Mahal and, Agra and, places in India. And then I went over to, and saw Bombay. Then went over to Africa and did safaris in Africa. I went up in the Egypt and did a flukas on the Nile. And then I was tired and I called Jane, or Jane actually found me in Egypt. She actually, I got to the hotel in Egypt and she had tracked me down.
But what do you mean she tracked you down?
She didn't know exactly what my itinerary was because I never really knew myself.
Okay.
But she got my roommate back home. She actually tried to call my parents.
Okay.
to find out where I was.
Okay.
When I was in Egypt. And I flew to Barcelona because I had a flight there. I was going to go to Morocco, but I was too tired. And next thing you know, Jane and I are together, and 8 weeks later we got married. And then we got engaged, I should say, after 8 weeks. And then we got married in '94. So it was '92, our travel trip. But that whole experience got me to meet Jane. We decided to get married. We talked about where we're going to live. She said, I'm reluctant to leave home to be, I want to be near my family. I thought my parents were always going off traveling somewhere. Yeah, fine, I'll try England. Why not?
Also, since when have you been living here in England?
1995.
Oh my goodness. I don't know why, but I was under the impression that you were both from America and you came here for whatever reason.
No.
Okay, so
she's English.
You moved here a long time ago.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
And now I'm doing other changes. I'm doing other things. I'm saying, my kids are grown up. We did a few things, but mostly I was raising my kids, taking them to football and things like that.
Yeah.
But now they're old enough, and now I've started to do other things. Sorry.
I would like to summarize a little bit what your learnings and your changes through this whole journey was. So first, you said you had to leave your comfort zone.
I was living the typical upper middle class lifestyle in Chicago. I feel like I got it, and that made me just kind of like a more open person.
Yeah.
I wasn't, I am not afraid of class or culture. Indian culture, Muslim culture, Hindu culture, wherever you go, our culture, basically we're all normal people. Just trying to get on. Some, maybe at a different economic level, but we're all, we all love our families. We all, we all want to be friendly in a way, and that's what I've learned. So I don't think it's like, keep the immigrants out. None of the immigrants. We're all immigrants. I always get upset people saying this is my country. Well, it's not anybody's country, because if you look at history, everybody's taken over everybody right, left, and center. It's just, that's the problem.
So
I've become more of a liberal person, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's how I changed. I'm more open.
Well, it changed your life because now you're in a different country with your family. Is there anything else that you would add to that?
No. There is one quote I want to make sure that I get out there. And it was by Mark Twain, or it's allegedly. I've heard different people say it, really didn't say it. But as far as me knowing about the world, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. So basically, prejudice, bigotry, narrow-mindedness comes from sitting at home. And that's what that's how I'm trying to overcome that by saying, okay, let's see what it's like here. Let's see what it's like there.
Yeah.
So that's what's changed. That's what drives me.
Well, I agree to a degree. I don't think you have to be narrow-minded just because you don't leave the place where you are.
No.
I mean, I agree.
I'm probably a little harsh.
I agree that probably it's more likely than if you are well-traveled. But at the same time, I don't really like to generalize in that way. I think you can leave your comfort zone in your environment still, or in your own country. You don't have to go abroad. But certainly, you probably do put yourself in more uncomfortable situations if you put yourself. Yeah.
So.
Is there? All right.
Yeah, I think, Melanie, I could tell you all kinds of all my trips. I've done a lot of exciting things that I really enjoy doing, and I'd love to sit there and just tell the camera what I did. But I think the important thing is what it's done for me.
Yeah.
And basically, it's opened my mind. It's opened my mind to the world. It's made me see things in a different light. It's made me see what's going on with this planet.
Yeah.
It's made me be able to say, I did that. I didn't. I did something that not a lot of people did. And that's how I like to be defined in the end. And that's what I'm getting out of all my traveling. I'm defining myself all the time, every time I go somewhere, because I've done this or done that. But also, by doing that, I'm seeing what's happening out there. I believe in climate change. A lot of people don't, but I've been out there and I've seen it, and things like that. I believe that most everybody in the world, the majority of each culture, are nice people. That not, the angry politicians you see and the fanatics that might follow them is not the real world. The real world is just people, and if you go out there and meet them, you'll find that's not what I was expecting. And that's what I think why I enjoy traveling, because I just see more of it. I'm very proud right now. A lot of people would think differently. Like my son, my youngest, decided that he wasn't going to go to university. We both would have liked him to do that, but he decided he went to America and became a ski instructor for 2 years. Now he's going to move to New Zealand. I think that's great. He's going out in the world. He's actually going to see something. So I'm very happy for him that he's doing that. But that's what I like, just people getting out there and just seeing that, we're all good people, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
So that's how it's changed me. I'm a much different person now. So.
And how did you find completely settling into into a completely different country and having a family away from where you grew up?
I feel a little bit I'm cheating. I'll tell you why. Because I didn't move to France. I didn't move to Germany. I moved to England. And England and America speak the same language.
Yeah, okay.
So it made it easier. So it was a lot easier to fit in that respect. I didn't have a language barrier. As you probably can surmise. Also, most of the world speaks English. Most Americans speak only English. And so it was much easier for me because I don't speak any other languages. I sometimes wish when I was younger I'd been pushed more into it. I took French in school, but
Yeah, I mean, okay, language is one thing, but you didn't find it too hard to completely relocate?
No, because I kept traveling all the time while I was in them. So it really wasn't a big deal to I'll live here. When I grew up in America, before I actually got to England, it wasn't like I just lived in Chicago where I was born and raised. I lived in Colorado, went to school in Wisconsin, Colorado. I lived in Idaho, I lived in California. So I bounced around a lot. and stuff. So I was used to, when Jane said I'm not comfortable, leaving my family, I thought, I was fortunate my family loved it because they could come visit England.
Yeah.
And come see me, and we would go back there quite often.
Okay.
We still do, we're going back there again.
Yeah. Okay.
So
right.
yeah, I found it very easy to fit in.
Okay. Yeah.
There.
Well, thank you so much for coming on here.
Thank
you. If you want to see more videos, subscribe to my channel, and I see you in my next video. Bye!